Ever found yourself wondering what makes some people naturally kinder than others? You know, those rare individuals who seem to have an almost magical ability to understand exactly what you're going through? Well, today we're going to talk about one of the most fascinating personality types out there, the INFJ. They make up less than 1% of the world's population, but their impact on the people around them is absolutely incredible. Let's dive deep into why these remarkable souls might just be the kindest people you'll ever have the pleasure of meeting. The natural empaths, more than just feeling emotions. When we talk about INFJ empathy, we're not just talking about basic emotional understanding. INFJs possess something that goes way beyond ordinary empathy. It's like they have emotional X-ray vision. Imagine having someone who can walk into a room and immediately sense the emotional temperature, picking up on the tiniest shifts in mood that most people would miss completely. That's what INFJs do naturally, without even trying. Think about the last time you were having a rough day, but trying to hide it. Maybe you put on a brave face, smiled through meetings, and told everyone you were fine. An INFJ friend would be the one who gently pulls you aside and asks if you want to talk about what's really going on. They don't just guess that something's wrong. They feel it in their bones. It's like they have an emotional radar that picks up on the subtlest signals that others might miss entirely. But here's what makes their empathy truly special. INFJs don't just sense emotions passively. They actively process and understand them. When an INFJ friend notices you're upset, they're already mentally working through ways they might be able to help. They're connecting dots between past conversations, your current situation, and potential solutions. It's like having a personal emotional detective who's constantly working to ensure your well-being. The art of deep listening. How INFJs create safe spaces. Let's talk about how INFJs listen, because it's truly an art form. When most people listen, they're often just waiting for their turn to speak or thinking about what advice they want to give. But INFJs? They listen with their whole being. It's like they create this invisible bubble of safety around conversations, where you feel completely free to be yourself. When you're talking to an INFJ, you might notice something unusual, the way they give you their complete, undivided attention. They're not just hearing your words, they're absorbing your tone, watching your body language, and picking up on all those little things you're not saying out loud. It's like having a conversation with someone who can read between every line and understand the story behind your story. What's even more remarkable is how they remember everything. Not just the big stuff, but all those little details that most people would forget. That random dream you mentioned 3 months ago, they'll remember it and ask you if it ever came true. The name of your childhood pet? They got that stored away too. It's not because they're trying to be impressive. It's because they genuinely care about your whole story, every single detail of it. Gentle guidance. The INFJ way of helping. One of the most beautiful things about INFJs is how they help people grow without being pushy about it. They have this incredible ability to see people's potential. It's like they can see the butterfly while everyone else just sees the caterpillar. But here's the really special part. They never try to force transformation. Instead, they create the perfect conditions for growth and let people bloom at their own pace. Think about how a skilled gardener works. They don't pull on plants to make them grow faster. They provide the right environment, the right support, and then they wait patiently. That's exactly how INFJs approach helping others. They might notice that you're struggling with a decision, and instead of telling you what to do, they'll ask questions that help you discover the answer yourself. It's like they're holding up a mirror that shows you your own wisdom. Their guidance often comes in such subtle ways that you might not even realize you're being guided. Maybe they share a story that relates to your situation, or they ask a question that makes you think about things from a completely different angle. Before you know it, you're seeing your problems in a new light, and it feels like you got there all by yourself, which is exactly what they wanted. Standing up for others. The peaceful warrior spirit. Don't let their quiet nature fool you. INFJs have a warrior spirit when it comes to standing up for what's right. They might be soft-spoken, but they've got backbones of steel when it comes to defending others. It's like they have this internal justice meter that goes off whenever they see someone being treated unfairly. What makes their approach to advocacy so special is how they do it. They don't usually charge in with guns blazing. Instead, they use their natural diplomacy and understanding of human nature to create real change. They might speak up in meetings when someone's idea is being overlooked or quietly support someone who's being excluded from a group. They're the ones writing thoughtful letters to address systemic problems, organizing community support for important causes, or having one-on-one conversations that slowly but surely change minds. The gift of thoughtful giving. When it comes to giving, INFJs take it to a whole new level. For them, giving isn't just about the physical gift. It's about showing someone they're truly seen and understood. An INFJ might spend weeks or even months planning the perfect gift, not because they're trying to impress anyone, but because they want to make sure the gift carries the right message. Imagine receiving a book that perfectly matches not just your interests, but also speaks to exactly what you're going through in life right now. Or getting a handmade item that references a conversation you had months ago, showing you that your words really mattered. That's the kind of thought INFJs put into their giving. It's like they have this internal database of everything that matters to their loved ones, and they're constantly updating it with new information. The emotional healers, creating spaces of healing. When you spend time with an INFJ, you might notice something unusual happening. Your emotional wounds start to feel a little less raw. It's not because they're trying to fix you. It's because they naturally create an environment where healing can happen. Think of them as emotional architects, carefully crafting spaces where people feel safe enough to let their guards down. These healing spaces aren't physical places. They're more like invisible sanctuaries that INFJs carry with them wherever they go. Maybe you've experienced this yourself. That feeling of complete acceptance when you're talking to an INFJ friend. There's no judgment, no rush to solve your problems, just pure understanding and support. What makes INFJs such natural healers is their ability to hold space for others' pain without trying to minimize it or make it go away. They understand that sometimes what people need most is someone who can sit with them in their darkness without trying to force light into it. It's like they're saying, "I see your pain, and I'm not afraid of it. Take all the time you need." The bridge builders, connecting hearts and minds. In a world where misunderstandings often lead to conflicts, INFJs serve as human bridges. They have this remarkable ability to see multiple perspectives at once, understanding where different people are coming from, even when those people can't understand each other. It's like they speak multiple emotional languages fluently. Watch an INFJ in a group setting, and you'll see this bridge building in action. They're often the ones who can explain one person's point of view to another in a way that finally clicks. They might say something like, "What I think Sarah means is," and suddenly, the whole room understands what Sarah's been trying to say all along. This bridge building extends beyond just communication. INFJs often connect people who they think could benefit from knowing each other. They're like social matchmakers, but not just for romance. They connect friends, colleagues, and anyone else who might enrich each other's lives. They see the potential for beautiful friendships before anyone else does. The silent supporters, always there when needed. One of the most remarkable things about INFJs is their timing. It's almost uncanny how they seem to know exactly when someone needs support, often before that person realizes it themselves. They're like emotional weather forecasters, sensing storms before they hit and showing up with an umbrella just when it starts to rain. This support often comes in subtle ways. Maybe it's a text message checking in on you the day after a difficult meeting. Or perhaps it's them dropping by with your favorite snack when they sense you're having a rough week. They don't make a big show of their support. They just quietly make sure you know you're not alone. What makes their support even more special is how consistent it is. INFJs don't just show up for the big moments. They're there for all the small ones too. They remember to ask about that doctor's appointment you mentioned in passing, or they notice when you're a little quieter than usual in group settings. The deep thinkers, understanding human nature. INFJs don't just see what's happening on the surface. They're constantly exploring the deeper meanings behind human behavior. It's like they're reading a book while everyone else is just looking at the cover. This deep thinking leads to an incredible level of understanding and forgiveness for human flaws. When someone acts out or behaves badly, INFJs are often the ones who pause to consider what might be causing that behavior. Instead of jumping to judgment, they think about what pain or fear might be driving someone's actions. This doesn't mean they excuse bad behavior. Rather, they understand it in a way that allows for more compassionate responses. This deep thinking also shows up in how they process their own experiences. They're constantly reflecting on their interactions, thinking about how they could have been more helpful or understanding. It's like they're running an ongoing self-improvement program in their minds. The authentic souls. Real kindness without masks. In a world full of social media performance and carefully curated personas, INFJs stand out for their authenticity. Their kindness isn't a strategy to get ahead or win people over. It's simply who they are at their core. It's like they never got the memo about wearing social masks, or they decided those masks were too uncomfortable to keep wearing. This authenticity shows up in everything they do. When they ask how you're doing, they genuinely want to know the answer. When they offer help, it's not because they want something in return. It's because they truly want to make your life better. It's refreshing, really, how genuine they are in a world that often feels fake. The burnout warriors. When kindness takes its toll. Of course, being this attuned to others' needs and emotions isn't always easy. INFJs often struggle with emotional burnout because they feel everything so deeply. It's like they're carrying not just their own emotional baggage, but pieces of everyone else's too. Many INFJs have to learn the hard way that self-care isn't selfish, it's necessary. They often need to be reminded that taking care of themselves is just as important as taking care of others. Think of it like being on an airplane. You have to put on your own oxygen mask before helping others with theirs. The quiet changemakers. Impact without fanfare. What's particularly beautiful about INFJ kindness is how it creates change without drawing attention to itself. They're not doing kind things for recognition or praise. They're doing them because they genuinely believe in making the world a better place, one small action at a time. It's like throwing a pebble into a pond. The initial splash might be small, but the ripples keep going, touching everything in their path. That's how INFJ kindness works. They might never know the full impact of their actions, but their kindness creates waves that keep moving outward, affecting people they might never even meet. Embracing the INFJ way, a call to kindness. As we wrap up our exploration of why INFJs are the kindest people you'll meet, it's worth noting that their approach to kindness offers valuable lessons for all of us. They show us that true kindness isn't about grand gestures or public displays. It's about consistent, genuine care for others. They remind us that everyone we meet is fighting battles we know nothing about, and that a little understanding can go a long way. They show us that strength doesn't have to be loud, that wisdom often whispers, and that the most powerful changes often start with simple acts of kindness. Whether you're an INFJ yourself or someone who knows and loves one, these remarkable individuals remind us of something important. In a world that can sometimes feel harsh and uncaring, there are still people who lead with their hearts, who choose kindness over judgment, and who make the world a better place just by being who they are. Remember, in a world where you could be anything, choose to be kind just like an INFJ would. Because sometimes the quietest souls have the loudest impact on our hearts. Would you like me to further expand on any of these sections or explore additional aspects of INFJ kindness?